Wow.
Across the Arctic Circle, in freezing temperatures of -40, have lived the people for thousands of years.
Are nomads and take their dogs and reindeer herds with them as they rove about.
They are indigenous to these lands, and despite the harsh conditions, they have thrived and built a beautiful culture, one connected to nature.
We belong to the earth like the animals and the plants and everything.
Until one day, that changed.
De förstör för all framtid. Det är borta för evigt.
I have traveled further north than I've ever been, in what became an adventure of a lifetime.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
What are the chances of seeing the Northern Lights? He said 50-50.
To understand what is happening to the Sami,
The Sami culture just goes away. I wouldn't know who I am.
what forces are trying to erase them,
Without help, they would starve.
and most importantly, how are they fighting back?
Vi får inte lägga oss ner och låta det hända.
This desert boy is not used to this cold.
Might as well go all out. I can't believe we're doing this. I didn't think I was going to be in a helicopter flying over Jokkmokk anytime soon, but this is quite something. It's a lot of forest, yeah? No.
According to a standard modern map, I'm in Jokkmokk, a small town in northern Sweden. But according to the indigenous custodians of this land, I'm in the heart of a much older territory, one that predates borders and boundaries of the 4 countries occupying it today by hundreds, maybe thousands of years.
It is partly in Russia, Finland, in Norway, and partly in Sweden.
This is occupied Sápmi, home of the nomadic Sami people,
These people have been moving for centuries, wherever their reindeer might happen to take them.
whose way of life, mythology, spirituality, and culture are deeply intertwined with the terrain around them, and for many Sami, with the reindeer.
How was the party last night?
Oh, don't ask stupid questions. You can't take a day off.
Yeah.
Even though you're very hungover and you just want to lay in bed, you have to go.
You have to go.
We have to. The reindeer are outside.
And what is it you're putting on right now?
It's made out of reindeer skin. We have used it for generations.
The reindeer is very special to the Sami.
Yes. It's what many Samis live off and live for and buy. It's what everything. We do, it's what we think about, it's everything.
Did you mess it up?
Yes.
No!
This is Isabella and Riston. They're reindeer herders along with Rickard, the man who's going to be my guide here.
It's hard work, huh?
Yes.
Especially when you're maybe a bit hungover.
They're getting ready to head down to Jokkmokk market for the reindeer race.
Traditional man's hat, shauka.
And you put it to back?
Yes.
And they have the colors of the flag. Red was
For the sun.
the sun, blue is the
Water.
water, yellow is...
I'm not sure what the yellow and green are, but the one is nature and the other is the animals. We have always been connected to the land and the animal, and that's what we live off and always have.
But then came colonization. These new governments drew borders that were totally alien to the Sami, separating families and cutting off pastures, and then they began exploiting the natural resources. In northern Sweden, it was mining. The establishment of mines destabilized the environment and brought in settlers and missionaries who forced assimilation, labor, and Christianity on them. So began the erasure of Sami identity and land. And those same problems from centuries ago continue today.
And how long have you been a herder?
All my life.
All your life?
No.
And your father was also a herder?
Yes.
And your grandfather a
My
herder?
grandfather and the grandfather's grandfather.
Before them.
Wow.
This is Najla,
Najla, was this intended?
a half-Palestinian, half-Swedish environmental activist, and my friend, tagging along for the trip.
And is this a baby one?
That's a 1 year.
1 year old.
Over there is
I want to see how close I can get. Probably not the smartest thing in the world. Hey little friends, come hang out. Feel like me and this white reindeer developing a connection. No.
I don't think that's the right approach.
Rickard, I want to talk to you about, up to this day, there are mines coming to exploit and take from Sámi, and it's affecting the way of life. Can you explain this to me? What's going on?
Där då. Gruvan blir där. Då måste ni ju få malmen, måste ju få det därifrån. Antingen blir det en järnväg eller så blir det en lastbils, vart det kör stora lastbilar. Gruvan, det tar det området. Men den här transportleden, det tar lika mycket land. Det tar ju bort landet, det tar ju bort betesmarkerna för renen. Och renen är ju vårt liv. Så att kan inte renen överleva där, så hur ska vi, vad har vi för liv då? Vi har ju inte liv kvar något.
But the people haven't stood by and watched. The Sami have resisted the incursions on their land dating back to that first mine. They're still resisting today.
Fighting for their way of life. The indigenous Sami population in northern Sweden have been camping out to block attempts by British company Beowulf Mines to start blasting for iron ore.
Det handlar om liv. Alltså det är våra liv det handlar om. Och för vi står ju upp för det här, alltså för att våra efterkommande ska kunna leva det liv som vi har levt, om de vill. Vi får ju inte lägga oss ner och låta det hända. Jag ska då kunna sitta på ålderdomshemmet och gunga på en gungskola och säga jag var en av dem som försökte stå emot det.
This is so beautiful. Rickard, I see you at the race.
Yes, of course. Hey!
Come to you now, yeah?
Go over there.
All these people are visiting from different parts of the world. They're actually going to be the people racing, so they're going to lie flat on the sleds, and they're going to be pulled by the reindeer around the track. Does this look like an animal that wants to be raced? I do not envy the people who are going to be on this sled. When we first got here, I was thinking about it, but after seeing it, I'm like, no. Get on. Here we go. Oh my God. Holy. Wow. Ah, thank you. Oh my God. Wow. That was fast. The turn is so, you have to hold on for dear life. Ooh, this is for you. Make sure to subscribe. I almost risked my life for you too.
If you want to help us tell more stories like this, you can also sign up to our Patreon, where you get exclusive bonus content from our trips like this.
It's our turn.
The link is in the description.
He's very famous. We just raced some reindeer. Now we're about to go eat some reindeer. Crazy. crazy. There's a reindeer on the loose and they're trying to catch him.
I must try.
So this is Rickard's meat stall.
From the reindeer.
This is reindeer.
This is everything.
And obviously you don't need a refrigerator because everything's frozen.
Smoked.
Smoked.
Salted.
I mean, it's very gamey. This is like a jerky.
Men du sitter framför TV:n istället för chips.
Yummy. Protein. That's why you're strong.
Herr Rickard. Visa kameran, då är han där.
Is there a camera? He's there.
Why is it important for you and the Sami people to show that you exist?
Det är bara det här vet du, att de tar marken, de tar landet. Så att vi inte kan utöva vårt liv. Så det är ett fint sätt, jättesnyggt sätt att döda oss, att förinta oss på ett fint sätt.
He used the term förinta, which is comes from förintelsen, which means the Holocaust. So,
It's a genocide. You've been culturally, as a cultural genocide, and these colonizers have been trying to erase you for centuries.
Hade vi gjort som indianerna i USA, tagit till vapen, då hade det varit lättare. Då hade de dödat oss. Då hade det varit det lättaste. Men nu gör de på ett finare sätt. De tar landet, de tar vårt liv. Till slut är vi borta. Det är ingen som minns det här till slut, så vad vi har gjort och hur vi har levt.
The Sami were seen as uncivilized by their colonizers, called slurs, forced into labor, and their children sent away to get civilized educations. Their land was taken, and their spiritual practices outlawed. They were seen as a different race and studied under humiliating circumstances. Some women were even sterilized. And it's this colonial history that actually gave birth to this market. It was started 400 years ago as a way for the Swedish king to collect taxes from the Sami, spread Christianity among them, and civilize them. But it's become something else entirely.
This is beautiful, huh? Oh wow, this is a big one. What is it? What do you use this for?
Hunting tourister.
Hunting tourists.
Risten and make this.
Ah, for the pants. Oh, this is fish skin.
Drawing Sami people from all over to come together and share their culture with the world in the face of continued but more insidious kind of erasure.
You're the mayor of Jokkmokk. Everyone knows you're a celebrity.
These stories are not something that you read about often, depending on where you're consuming your news. That brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that gathers related articles from across the world in one place, with context about the source's political leaning, reliability, and ownership, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. At Uncivilized, we've been using Ground News to keep across climate stories from across the world. Take this story, for example. Extinction Rebellion coordinated a protest against drilling in the North Sea in 6 countries at the same time. On Ground News, we can see that only 23 articles were written about it, and almost all of them are left-leaning sources. And then you get to compare the headlines. The language from left-leaning outlets feels urgent, while the center outlet is a lot more detached and cold, and then the right-leaning outlet comes off a bit more sensational. Finding blind spots in reporting and identifying differences in language is such a central part of our process at Uncivilized. Our goal is to tell stories of the underrepresented and underreported, and Ground News helps us to do that by compiling clear data on what's happening and what's being ignored. If you want to try Ground News for yourself, you can go to ground.news/uncivilized and get 40% off your subscription. And now, back to the Arctic Circle.
Having reindeer broth to warm up, and then I'm double fisting with a coffee. So I'm replenishing my soul and waking up for the northern lights later.
As the last part of the adventure, we set out to explore a key part of Sami mythology and one of the greatest phenomena on Earth.
This is our base.
But we need to find it first.
There's Silba, my dog.
Good girl. Good girl. Are we gonna be friends? There's a tiny bit of clouds there, the white here. And when we asked him, what are the chances of seeing the northern lights, he said 50-50. So we'll see.
She wanted me. She chose me.
I'm so sad right now.
Okay, so are you ready?
Oh, she's climbing on me. It's an incredibly clear sky, which bodes well, but you never know. We're gonna see it or not?
Inshallah.
Okay.
I think the Sami mythology says it better. It's actually the spirits from their ancestors that comes down to say hello, and you should respect that. So as a child in the Sami culture, you never go out and play under the northern lights because it's your spirits of your ancestors. So you pay respect for that and maybe stay inside or just go out and be very quiet.
Are the Sami quite a spiritual people?
Yeah, especially back in the days, but I would say still today, many have a connection with the nature in another way that we Western people have, or people from the world. I think indigenous people still have connection with nature. That's nice.
Yeah.
If you spend a lot of time out in nature, which I also do, you get pretty humble as a person because you see stuff that you can't explain really.
My understanding of Sapmi is not just a region, but how you live within it as well.
Yeah,
it is the connection to the land. And
absolutely. Connection to the land is very important.
You told me on the way up that you're not Sami, but you've been here for a long time, and your daughters are Sami.
Yeah. So suddenly, what's Northern Lights in Sami?
As someone who came to live in Sapmi, what is something that struck you about the Sami people?
I think the way they keep together as families, you rely on each other. You need to rely on each other because it's pretty harsh environment to live in, cold. The state of Russia.
Soaked with coffee.
And I also put in some salted, dry and smoked reindeer meat in my coffee. So I have a small meal in there.
I just went outside. It's gotten less clear, so I'm not sure about our chances of seeing the Northern Lights. But we're having a great time, and we're nice and cozy, and we have Silva, so that's all that matters. How is climate change impacting this part of the world?
This winter started very well. We got cold conditions pretty fast, and that's what we want. We want cold weather for weeks before the snow comes. Because if snow comes on warm ground, it becomes icy surface. And because the reindeer eat from the ground, if you get an icy surface, they can't reach the food, or they can't smell the food. And if they can't smell the food, they will not start digging, and eventually they will starve because they don't get any food.
It's very interesting because when I asked you about climate change, your first answer was how it impacts the reindeer.
Yeah, that's how you talk about it. That's how you think when you've been into the Sami way of thinking. Because the reindeer is central.
It's central to everything.
Yeah, politicians living far away from here can't see this connection.
Yeah.
And they say, but we have so much space up there. Yeah. We only need to cut those forests. We only need to take those 2 rivers for energy. And everyone take a piece here and there. And suddenly the land is so put in pieces. So you can't they don't connect as an ecosystem.
As Palestinians, our demand is always free Palestine, freedom from colonization, liberation from systems of oppression. What do the Sami demanding? What do they want? Because it seems to me it's not their own country.
No, I never claimed land as an own land, but the possibility to be part of the negotiation in an equal way. Because when a wind farm company comes and say we want to build 1,000 of windmills here in your area, then it's like the last people you ask is the Sami, because they are not on the same level. They ask the local authorities, they ask the other authorities, nature preserving things, but the Samis are like thought as okay, they just have to adapt.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, they have reindeers here, but they have to adapt.
And so the demand is equality and recognition. We belong here, we have rights, but they're not attached to this idea of ownership of the land. And it's a really evolved idea of self-determination of peoples.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau, French philosopher, he said the whole problems with society started when one guy started saying this
ownership
piece of land belongs to me.
It's a very liberal concept. Yeah, and this is, I think, goes back to the conversation about Sami mythology and their connection with the land. It's much bigger than them.
Yeah.
You
are owned by the land.
Exactly. Not in reverse. It's very interesting because we have our own nomadic people in our part of the world. They're called the Bedouins. And so Najla and I were actually talking, this could be in a different setting. This could be sand, this could be sheepskin, and this could be a tent, and we could be drinking coffee or tea instead of in the desert. In the desert, and instead of the reindeer, there'd be sheep and goats.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. Like they roam the same regions.
Yep. They
feel a very specific connection to the land, but they never said, "This is mine." I'm sorry to report. The sky has gotten a bit cloudier, which I think lessens our chances of seeing the Northern Lights. Would I've loved to have seen them? Yes, but also I think in this tent we're having such a beautiful conversation and a really beautiful company. So it's also been really meaningful. So it's okay. Tuan, don't kill yourself, please. I need to introduce the people to Tuan. The man behind the camera, the cinematographer extraordinaire. How do you feel, Tuan, about not seeing the Northern Lights?
It's okay, I've seen them before.
Oh wow. That's the most Dutch answer ever.
I'm sure more chances will come.
I like this spirit. Tuan, you don't even have a camera on your down. You wanna go in the other one? We didn't get to see the Northern Lights, but I promise you, on Uncivilized, we're gonna take you somewhere in the world where we can see the Northern Lights. This is my promise to you. Make sure to support our work by subscribing, hitting us up, supporting us on Patreon, so we can keep telling these stories and taking you to amazing places around the world. Can you tell them to like, comment, and subscribe? Silba hatta tizhab wajhi. No farting. Did you eat cheese, Silva?